Saving your images for use on the web is extremely important because you effectively optimize your images so that they are as small as possible, yet they exhibit the most detail possible. And the idea behind this is that the images load quickly, because if you have a website and you have images that load slowly, search engines look at this negatively and it can impact on your search results. When you're uploading images to a website like Picfair, the system will automatically optimize the images for display on the website. So we're going to take a look at how to save images for web use when you're sending them via email, if you're uploading them to social media, or to your own website. And we're going to take a look at how to do it in both Lightroom and then in Photoshop. So I have my image here ready to be saved, and I'm in the library module, and here you'll see that there is an export button. So we can click on that and that will take us to the export dialog where we can export the image and save it in the desired format. If we're in the develop module, we don't have that export button, but whatever module you're in, you can use the shortcut Control, Shift and E. On a Mac, that would be Command, Shift and E. So let's run through all of the different settings here. So I'm going to create a preset so that I can just click on that and it will apply all of my Save for Web settings. And I'm going to leave Export to the desktop, and then I'm going to leave the file name as it is originally. That can be changed later on if it needs to be. And I'm just going to scroll down now to the file settings. So the best file format to save in for web use is JPEG. So I'm going to select JPEG there. We need to make sure that the color space is set to sRGB, because this is the color space that is used on the internet. If you upload images that are saved in the Adobe 1998 color space, they'll look really washed out and generally not very good. So it's really not a good idea to get the color space incorrect. And with the quality, we're going to take that all the way down to 45. So if you were creating a high resolution JPEG, you would leave quality at 100. But because we're optimizing for the web, we're going to take it right down, and with the size that we'll actually output the image, this level of quality works perfectly. It's a really good balance between file size and overall image quality. And the quality itself is actually compression. So when quality is set to 100, the JPEG has the least compression, and when it's set to 0, it would obviously have the most compression. So image quality drops on a sliding scale. So with all of this set correctly, we can just go to image sizing, and for most web use, having the long edge, so whether the image is in landscape or portrait format, the longer edge will be set to this dimension here. So you would only really need to share images online at 1000 to 1500 pixels. So I'm going to leave that set to 1000, and then I'm going to scroll down, and after export you do have options here. You can have it open up in Photoshop, or we can just have it set to do nothing, which I'm going to do there. So with all of those settings in place, I am just going to click on add. So that's going to create a user preset. I'm going to leave the folder set to user presets and then type in web 1000px, because that tells me what the preset's for. And then when I click on create, that preset appears in my list. So if I click on 16-bit TIFF, you'll see the settings there all change. And then when I click on my web 1000 pixels, I get all of the settings I've just created. So once you've done that, you just hit export and the new image will be created in the desired location. So let's take a look at how to do this in Photoshop, because it's a slightly different process. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and I have created a full-size high-resolution JPEG of the image that we were just looking at in Lightroom. So Photoshop, as I say, is slightly different when it comes to saving for web. You can of course go through the save as dialog, but you don't get quite as much control and it doesn't compress the image down as much as using save for web. In the past, save for web used to have a place in the menu, but this has been removed. So now it's accessed via a shortcut, which is Control on a PC or Command on a Mac, Shift, Alt, and S. And when you use that shortcut, that brings up the Save for Web dialog. And there are just a few things we need to make sure of here. So whatever file format is selected, just make sure it's set to JPEG, make sure that progressive is checked, and also make sure that embed color profile is checked, because if that isn't, you can get some strange color shifts. They're not massive, but it's always better to have that checked. And then the image that I'm working on here is saved in Adobe 1998, so I've got convert to sRGB checked. It doesn't hurt to have that checked all of the time. And then here we have our quality, and I'm going to take that down to 45 as we did in Lightroom. And then now all that I need to do is go down to image size, where I can type in 1000 pixels for the width, because it's a landscape format image. And then once you click away from there, we can see the image in the image window. And the great thing about this is that you can check the image quality, see if you can get away with going lower, or if you need to increase it. But I'm quite happy with this image quality versus the file size, which is coming up at a tiny 105.4 kilobytes. So once you've done here, simply click on the save button, and then you'll be able to name the file and choose the destination location for it to be saved. So that is how to save images for web use in both Lightroom and Photoshop.